Right lads, here's review part 1. I'm going to look at Rag versus Kyle first, and in this fixture Kyle beat Rag with a fairly decent score of 94.5, it's a shit score actually, versus Rag 71.5. So I'm going to pick out some of the key stats as I see them. So in this game, there were only, how many is that? 8 players across the two squads who scored more than 10 points. And of them 8 players, 7 of them played for the Bukaki Juggies. The rest of them were an absolute heap of shite. An inspired choice was Davinson Sanchez. He scored 14.75 points. He's won by 18% of teams. The double clean sheet for Kyle, I think, won it. And I think that's probably what it came down to. Kyle, overall, is a heap of shite. It was an above average score for him against Rag, who had almost his lowest ever score. His lowest ever score is 69.5, and that was a 71.5. So basically handed him the win. Kyle's still without a review in a year and a half, which is criminal. Sitting, where's he? 7th in the table, former champion, is gone to shit. He's basically Blackburn. And Rag started off well. He's down in 5th now, season low. Absolute load of pap. Rag, what can we say about Rag? He has 9 out of 14 scores in the top 5 of scores. He's had 7 instances where he scored in the top 3, but he's still only 5th, and he's starting to fall away from the pack, despite having the highest score, cumulative points, along with Bry. There's only a few points in it. Let's have a look. It's 1630 for Bry. It's, where's Rag? 1621 for Rag. So he's only, less than 9 points behind Bry in terms of total points scored, but he's 4 positions lower and he's 4 wins less. So that's not looking good for Rag. Kyle, 6 wins, 8 losses, 1,277 points, which is basically in the big pack of shit where the 6 teams all scored the same as each other. Bang average fixture, bang average result. It was basically the equivalent of like the championship game they put on Friday night when the Premier League game's on a Friday. So no one really cared about that result. Preview number 1. Preview number 2, we're going to go with Jura versus Rolo. It's been dubbed the Battle of the Ladder Lads. And in this one, what was going on? Let's have a look. So Colo won against the former champion, 81.75 to 65.25. Was that the lowest score? Yeah, Jura on preview by the looks of it. So not a remarkable week for Jura. Colo, 81.75, would have been beaten by, 5 teams. So lucky with the draw of the fixtures there, I think. In this game, we had 9 players scoring over 10 points. So pretty low scoring all round again. The top 2 were Jura's players, who pulled in 38 points for his best 2 players. Bearing in mind he only scored 65.25, that means the other 9 players were absolute wank. Well, actually, Ward-Prowse scored 11 and Maximan scored 10. That's 59, so bloody hell, he must have had an absolute stinker with the rest of his team. 4 players pulling in all these points. Bad selection choices there. Colo, Gabe, Jesus, Watkins, Lamptey, but I think he was on his bench actually. Kane all scored well. Any questionable choices in this squads here? Who's got Joe Linton? Jura's got Joe Linton, that's shit. Saka scored 1 point, I think he came off the bench, didn't he? Foden, 0 points, so 2 big players there. Werner still not getting the game. Ricardo Pereira, is he injured again? Fuck knows, but he didn't score anything. So let's have a look at any stat takeaways from these two. Rolo scored below his average. His average score this season is 89, 81.75 this week. Jura close to his lowest score by 5 points, just above it. Let's have a look. Anything else? Where's that put? Colo is now 8th. That's a season low for him. Jura is 4th, and that's a season high for him. So despite the wins, neither of them changed position. Actually, no one changed position this week. Jura stays top half. Colo stays bottom half. Jura that's a pretty good record actually. He's got 6 wins in the last 8 games. Colo has, he was on a 5-loss streak before this, so he's maybe turning the tide there. He needs to start climbing the table. Dura actually is one of the luckiest players in the league. 4 wins from 10 scores in the bottom 5. That's when he scored in the 5 shittest players. He's won 4 games. Colo's won 3 games from the bottom 5 scores in 10 occurrences, so he's been doing pretty well as well. Colo's only been in the top 3 times. Dura's only been in the top 3 scorers 2 times. So I think it's not too hot for either of these dudes this season. Mid to low table predicted. Thirdly up, we've got the newly named Pride of Puddlemore Tornadoes. Tornadoes versus Bry, my title contender. Probably the only competition I've got at the minute, but we all know that Bry, he's hit the top of the roller coaster and it's all going to come crashing back down relatively soon. Another one where there wasn't that many high scorers, only 7 players who scored over 10, but Bry pulled in 107.5 points against the Puddlemores, 66.5, so not that far away from a doubling. Pride of Puddlemore actually had the best scoring player in the game jointly. Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes had the same score. After that, it was all a bit naff. Any questionable choices in the lineups? Oddson Edouard for Palace, 2.5 points. I think he needs to be dropped. Maxwell Cornet, 2 points. Heap of shit. Ben Johnson was decent at 1 point, but he's shit now. Holding on to any shit who didn't score anything. There's a lot of big name players who didn't play actually, who usually get picked. Wan-Bissaka, Tarkowski, Sarr, Shaw, Bamford, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Tielemans, Gundogan, Reece James, all not scoring. So maybe just look at the draw there with the players that they could get out. Doing well for Brian, not doing well for Tupac. From a stats point of view, it was Bry. Where's Bry on here? Bry scored below average for him. He's averaging 116. He's got the highest average of the season, score-wise, along with Rag. Scored 107, so below average for him, and he was playing Chudley Cannons, who scored well below their average. They've actually got the smallest gap between the highest and lowest score, so heap of shit really from the Cannons, but that's probably be expected. He's never had a review all season that has Tupac. He's now in 9th place. Bry stays top. Bry with 1 loss in, 9 weeks. So that's good going from Bry. 2 losses in 10. Bry has had 10 scores in the top 5, 9 scores in the top 3, which is pretty impressive stuff. Tupac has had 4 scores out of 14 in the top 5, once in the top 3. So things looking bad for Tupac. He's been lucky. He's had 4 wins when he scored in the bottom 5, which has happened 12 times. So not looking good for Mr. Huller. I think Huller is going to struggle to not finish bottom, even with Dan's the gap to Dan. I think he's my pick for bottom. Bry, he'll finish about 4th again. Right, this I think was the best one of the week. This was Dan versus Plops. So going in the last 2 games, they were pretty much level with, I think there was 2 and 3 to play, or 3 and 4 to play. Super tight. Plops had Son, Tony and Ronaldo. If you had 3 players that you'd probably want to play, it'd be those 3. Dan had some not so hot players from what I remember. In this game, there was a lot of big scores. There was 13 players scored over 10 points. Ronaldo pulled in 30, which is the best of the week. Liam Cooper pulled in 25.25. Jordan Henderson, 22. Douglas Luiz was on the bench, but still 21.5. There was a lot of good scorers in this game. A few bench players. Callum Hudson-Odoi, after the trade last week, didn't get a point. He was on the bench or not in the squad. Plops, basically, of those players who scored over 10, Plops had the top 8 other than Jordan Henderson. So I think relatively easy in the end for Plops. Stat-wise, Plops, that was his best score of the season. Congratulations, Plops. Dan, that was above average for him, 104.75 against an average of 89. Plops stays 6th. Dan stays bottom. Dan has 1 win since week 5. How many weeks that is? 9 or 10. Plops has 4 wins in the last 5, so things going all right for Plops. Plops is featured in the top 5 of scorers 6 times, top 3 of scorers 4 times. Dan is featured in the top 5 times, and the top 3 once. Dan has only won 1 game in 9 occurrences in the bottom 5 of scorers, which is the second worst luck in the league, if you want to call it luck. So that one went to Plops in the dying minutes, really. It was all the second half, wasn't it, pretty much? So well done, Plops. A season high score for you. And Dan, you're scoring all right, but you're not getting any luck, so hopefully things turn for you. I can still see you finishing higher than the Puddlemore period bloods, or whatever they're called. And then lastly up was my game, and I was playing STP. This was STP got a rough ride in terms of the fixtures when he got me back to back after playing Bry last week. So he went from being right in the mix to being knocked down a couple of pegs now. He's fallen away a little bit. He's now 3 wins away from top of the table. Is the former champ. In my game with STP, we had by far the most 10 plus point scorers. We had 17 players who scored over 10 points. And I had the top 4, and then 5 and 6. I had Salah, 25. Over 30% of my points have come from Salah this season, which is nuts. Reguilon benched, 32.5. Andrew Robertson finally started pulling his weight, 32.5. Maddison, 22. 2 weeks in a row where he's done really well. Odegaard for STP was on the bench, so that doesn't count. Shea Adams was on my bench. Kai Havertz. Everyone just had a party last night. It was fucking brilliant. Any questionable ones in there? There was a few, really, but Townsend didn't do too well. Pulisic didn't do too well. Chris Wood, João Cancelo, Luca Digne. Few players not performing there. And then in terms of stats, that was STP's lowest score of the season. So thank you for doing that for me, STP. Very kind of you to pull that one out against me. It was a good score from me, but not my best. I've pulled out a 173 before. And that was 157 from me, obviously, to win. This is my 3rd preview of the season. No reviews. Me and STP, the only 2 people not to have had a low score this season. So that is a record that I'm happy to share with you, STP. I stay 2nd. STP stays 3rd. But obviously, I go clear a win, whereas we were on the same number of wins before. For me, that is... I'm doing quite well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins in 10 game weeks. I'm quite happy with that. STP, he won 4 in a row and then he's lost 2 in a row now. So he's going off that cliff if he doesn't pull that round. STP is at 7. He's only half of the game weeks. He's appeared in the top 5 of scorers. He's been in the top 3 5 times. Me, I have been in the top 5 9 times, which is second only to Bry, which was 10. And I've been in the top 3 6 times, which is 3rd, I think. STP, yeah, not much else to say, I don't think. Yeah, I think that's probably it. So I win with a high score. I'm catching Bry. I'm right behind him now. 1 slip up, and I'll be level on points. And I've just got a few match points to make up, and then hopefully I'll be touching the top again. I'll get a flavour for what that feels like for the 2nd season in a row, touching the top of the table. Oh yeah.